Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Just let me warn you at the beginning here, if my pager goes off, I'm just going to pause the video. So if you hear a little sound and then a little bit of editing is evident, it's because there's a non-emergency call happening where I don't need to respond, but my pager is continually going off. So I'm going to try to record this anyway. Hopefully we don't get any interruptions, but I thought I'd put that out there just in case it happens, so you'll kind of know what's going on. We have here the Civivi Backlash, and I've got to say, guys, the Backlash is a knife that initially I skipped when Civivi sort of came on the scene. The first couple that I ended up getting were like the Praxis and the Aquila. This knife I passed on, and I really shouldn't have, because it combines some of the things I liked about both of those knives in a pretty balanced package. So thankfully, formerly Mass Drop, decided to do an exclusive run of these with the blue G10 and plain stainless steel liners, rather than the colored ones that they initially had from Civivi. So I picked this one up through Mass Drop, and I did put a link down in the description below. So if you like this, you can pick one up from there. And if you use my link, it does help the channel. And anyway, having said all that, I'm actually kind of glad that they did and that I kind of reconsidered getting this knife, because I like this a lot. I don't know that it quite surpasses the Aquila, but it's very, very close. This is definitely on my short list of the best Civivis to pick up, along with probably this, the Aquila, and the Elementum would be my favorite. All of them have been quite good though. So let's get into the specifics here. We have a knife that is 8 1/8 inches overall, 3.5 inch blade. For grip area, we've got 3 7/8, so lots and lots of room there for your hand. Closed length is 4 5/8 inches, and the weight on this is 3.9 ounces. So you've actually got quite a lot of ability in a fairly small tool. Carrying this around, you really don't notice, and I've carried this in, track pants and lightweight pants and stuff, and it really is not noticeable in pocket. So I've got to say they've really done a good job with the size and weight. Moving over to this blade, now remember when Civivi first came out, a bunch of them were in the 9CR18 MOV steel. This is in that steel, and subsequently they kind of moved toward D2, and a bunch of their more recent offerings were in the D2 steel, which is fine. I definitely don't dislike D2. However, this steel, the knives that were offered in this steel, one, were cheaper, which I think is good, and two, they were stainless too. And so for people who are maybe not into knives and don't know much about care and maintenance, a stainless steel is a really nice option. Further, Pete over at Cedric Canada Gear and Outdoors did a bunch of testing with this steel when it first came out and got really, really good results. So, I mean, it's still a budget steel, but he compared it quite favorably to VG10. And so you got to think, if you can get a steel that performs almost as well or maybe as well as VG10 in a $40 knife, that's a win. And so I don't know why they switched to D2, other than perhaps maybe marketing. Some people will see the CR MOV and just think it's crappy Chinese steel. It's not. This is actually really, really nice performing steel for its price point. All right. So I'm happy to see the 9CR18 MOV. I love this blade shape. I really, really like the hollow grind. This is not thick blade stock, so fairly thin stock combined with a hollow grind means this thing cuts like crazy. It really does. Got a top swedge there. Now it's a pretty fine tip, okay, similar to like say a Para 2 or something, so don't be dropping this. I mean, any knife can break from being dropped on the tip, even, some heavy duty hinderer or something like that. But this is a little finer and maybe a little riskier because of that extra fineness. All right, the only real complaint I have about this blade is that you lose a fair bit of cutting edge to this choil. And I feel like if they had just taken this whole portion of the knife and moved it back a little, they could have come up with, an extra 1/4 inch of cutting edge here and just sort of moved this choil a little bit out of the way. Anyway, I'm oversimplifying the design process grossly right there. All right, but I would have liked to see a little more cutting edge. This ends up being sort of like the Para 2, right? And you've all heard the biggest complaint about the Para 2 is the cutting edge per the size of knife. All right, there are knives that are much smaller than either one of these that have the same amount of cutting edge, which is about 3 1/4 inches. All right, so I really, really like that blade, and I will say that that extra 1/4 inch is not like the end all and be all. It's barely even a complaint. It's just something that I notice. All right, in use, and I've used this a lot because I really, really enjoy it. It's light to carry. I like the blade. Anyway, I like a lot of things about it, so I've carried it quite a bit, and it's not like I'm constantly wishing for that extra cutting edge. It's not that big of a deal at all, actually. So the blade is definitely a win. Moving on to lockup and deployment, we've got a liner lock with a flipper. I guess all of you probably knew that if you were just looking at the pictures here or looking at the video here. How does it perform? Really, really well. Although I will say this has had a little bit of TLC from me. I did take this knife down and clean things up a little bit. And after doing that, it's definitely improved. Okay, so I cleaned it up. I lubricated it with some KPL. I also lubricated the detent path. So that seems to have made a bit of a difference in terms of just how smooth it is overall. But even before that, it was nice and fast. The deployment was pretty good and the lock bar was accessible. So in terms of lockup and deployment, yeah, quite good. And honestly, guys, at this point, it's what you would expect from Civivi. They've done lots and lots of knives, and you know, I can't recall ever saying about one that the action wasn't great. They've pretty much all been quite enjoyable. Everything is accessible, everything is comfortable, it opens the way you want it to. It's very smooth on opening and closing, so no real issues with that. Now let's talk about the handle in terms of, you know, construction and ergonomics. We've got G10 over stainless steel liners, G10 backspacer, deep carry clip. You can see, oh yeah, you can see it there, some internal milling there to lighten things up a little bit, and that it's mostly open. Some detailed points here. The lock bar is quite accessible. Notice the, come on, there we go. Notice the screws on that deep carry clip. They've really done a nice job getting those flush. For some reason, this is a huge oversight, and I don't know why I have to keep bringing this up in videos, but so many companies will do a deep carry clip like this, which is simple and highly effective, but then they'll put screws here that stop the clip from working properly. All right, so it's nice to see those nice flush screw heads. We do have a lanyard hole running through the backspacer. It's non-tubed, it just runs through the backspacer there, but I don't use a lanyard, so I don't really care. And you can move that clip to the other side. You can see the holes right there. So in terms of construction, I'm quite happy with this. Typical Civivi liner lock. The feel in hand, though, is where there's a couple things that I really, really like. Now, it's not the most comfortable knife I've ever had. You know, I've had knives before, something like this, let's say. So this is my Manix 2 lockback. This just really molds to your hand and is just outstanding in terms of the feel in hand. The Backlash, it's not outstanding, but it's very, very comfortable. There's no hot spots. It's fine. There's nothing. All I would say is it's good, but it's not like earth-shatteringly great. Okay, moving on. Let's get to some comparisons, both in terms of, you know, similar price points, as well as to give you an idea of size. So Rat Model 1 right here, everyone's pretty much familiar with the Rat Model 1. You can see this is a little smaller than that. Going to be similar in price point though. Here is the Bird Raven 2. Again, similarly priced knife, similarly sized knife. A couple nice things on the Civivi. The blade steel is different, a few other differences. When it comes to, you know, really nice actions coming in on, you know, budget liner locks out of China, you can't hardly talk about that without bringing up Bestech. So there is the Bestech Muskie. We've already had the Para 2 in here, but just because everyone's familiar with the size of the Para 2, let's throw that in, and then I'll throw the Manix in one more time. Again, mostly because, there we go. Mostly because everyone is just familiar with the size of those two knives. All right, guys. So those are a few comparisons. Of course, this is going to be comparable to a bunch of other Civivis. I like it better than a lot of Civivis. It's not my favorite one overall, though. I think that still probably belongs to the Aquila. And I haven't tried all of the Civivi, so maybe there's another one that's even better out there that I just haven't experienced yet. But this knife is really, really well done. The blade, I love the hollow grind on the blade. I love the satin finish. I love the blue G10. The clip works great. Its size and weight is really, really nice. It's comfortable in hand. I mean, what more could you want? It's really, really well done. So I can easily recommend this knife just without hesitation. Either this one that's available through Massdrop. If you're not going to use the link to Massdrop, I will put a link to White Mountain Knives as well. And you can get one of the original or like one of the non-Massdrop exclusive versions over there through White Mountain Knives. And you can use my discount code to save you a little bit of money on that. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this knife. Do you think I'm completely insane? Do you agree that this is one of the nicer Civivis out there? Or maybe you've got some other Civivi that you'd like to recommend as kind of beating this one out. Again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.